Hello, and thanks for joining us today on NCI Live. We have a special edition for you today. We're going to be talking about our annual recap of our nVision conference. Joining me today are three of our special guests. We have Matt Helgeson, Ben Karlsrud, and Brady Dykema from NCI. We're going to be talking about all things nVision. Before we get started, I'd like to just talk real briefly. We are live today. And so if this is your first time attending, please feel free to chat us your questions. We are live on both YouTube and LinkedIn. So please message us your questions. We'll do our best to answer them live on air. With that, gentlemen, welcome.
Welcome.
Thanks, David.
Thanks, David.
No, thanks for joining me here today. So nVision, that was a pretty fun time, wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely.
It was a great day.
Yeah, it
without
was.
a doubt.
And
nobody went to the hospital.
I was really excited. Yeah, that's
Yep.
always a good thing. So I'm going to pick on, since we got all of us here together, I'm going to pick on each one of you individually sometimes. And Ben, I'm going to start with you. So why don't you tell us, what is nVision?
So nVision is something we started like more than 2 decades ago. And really it's getting a bunch of people together that we work with, maybe don't work with, and chat about what could be coming down the pipe next year. For me nowadays, it's more about reconnecting with folks that I haven't seen in a little bit, or maybe new customers. like I mentioned, when I was up on the main stage, we had a few individuals from Eagle Butte, which is not more than right down the road. That's like 7, 8, 9 hours away.
It's
And they
hike.
were trying to track
Yep.
down individuals that they haven't seen face to face, scheduling with Brittany and Pamela, being able to meet folks that they talk to every day or converse with in an email or on a ticket. It's, they said this stuff is still very much relationship based. It isn't just a commodity, and how we work together and move things forward is super important. And then obviously the benefit of all the techie stuff that we're talking about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Brady, you'll have kind of a unique take on this. You were our MC this year. What was your take on nVision? What do you think nVision is to you?
Yeah, nVision was great this year, and I think I've actually been to 8 or 9 nVisions now since I've been employed with Network Center, and the evolution I think has been amazing from seeing it 8 or 9 years ago to what it has become now, just with the involvement of NCI employees as well as the multitude and spectrum of customers and vendors that attend this now, whether it's in person or virtually. And like you said, I did have the privilege of being the MC. So getting up on stage on a 360 stage in front of everyone and doing a little announcing,
Mhm.
doing a little welcomes and those type of things, it was a lot of fun, and it was great to see everyone.
You did a great job, I have to say.
All
Just in
right.
case you didn't hear that from enough
Thank you.
people, I personally am telling you did a great job. Now, Matt, you're an account executive. You work a lot with more in the trenches with the individual attendees. What was your experience like?
Yeah, nVision has always been great. A lot of the customers that I work with are very technical, so they kind of come to hear the latest and what's new from different manufacturers, or like the keynote today or that we had was on AI. A lot of people are interested in those types of things. So the technical discussions that we had with Cisco or with Nutanix, all of the above, was great, and some different conversations started out of those technical discussions.
I'm going to just throw in my own 2 cents there. Is I'm actually, of all of the people on this panel here, I'm the newbie. This is be my third nVision, and this one by far and away was the most active. It was kind of nice. It was nice to, like, as Ben, you mentioned, people coming up and they haven't seen me. Like, they might have talked to me on the phone or something, but we had time to actually not only exchange professional stuff, but socialize a little bit and just talk. So that was kind of nice, being able to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exchange information. Yeah, so that was really nice. But this time it was incredible to walk into the main room and see how many people. It felt like from the first time till now, even in that short time span, how much each time it has grown in terms of attendance. So this time was, when I walked in, I was excited, and I'm like, wow, look at all the people.
Yeah,
So that was kind of neat.
since 2020, when we went 100% virtual on it, right? Because of COVID. Obviously, 21, when we had it, it was more sparse, but there was a few people that showed up. Each year is progressively getting to be more folks. And I would say, even from 2019, this was a bump up from participation. And,
Sure.
I mentioned, people getting together, it's kind of back. Like, again, it's a relationship. We want to see each other face to face. And granted, we had, 60 to 70 folks that participated virtually. So there's still that opportunity, whether you're a long ways away or you just want to get in and out and check out some breakout sessions. So the opportunity is still there, but obviously it was very well attended.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, let's break it down a little bit. To start off with, we had a keynote speaker, and wanted to get everyone's impression of the keynote, for not only the topic but the presentation. And I'll throw it open to anyone. Anybody want to throw in their 2 cents?
Yeah, I'll step in here, David. I think he did a great job with the presentation. The content was exactly what people are asking for, because the AI topic has been around for a while, and it's still kind of just magic how it happens, I think, is what people our understanding, how does this all work, and how is that going to affect my business, or how is that going to affect my personal life moving forward? So him being able to go through that on just kind of tracking how it all plays out was very interesting. I mean, it's not something I knew much about, but after his discussion, I learned a little bit more. I by no means an expert, but I kind of understand where it comes from, and a little bit more about where it's going. And even the panelists at the end were talking about it, where they're making sure that they're having the discussions around AI and how that might affect their businesses moving forward. So I thought it was great, and I thought the topic was very well fitting for our nVision this year.
Yeah. No, I thought it was great. Sorry, I didn't mention his name.
Mhm.
Lauren Horsacher.
Yep.
That was his name. I didn't mention it. I apologize for that. He went not only into the kind of the landscape, but he also went into a little bit of kind of opened the hood a little bit as to what's being done with it, and how, with his company anyway, how it's being done, and how he's creating these AI models, and what's some of the practical applications. So I found that interesting. Did anybody else take away anything
Yeah, I mean, I
different?
think Lauren, working in AI every day, he's ahead of the curve compared to most businesses. But the way he presented it, saying, hey, you're obviously not where Model Mind AI is right now, his company, but you can get there.
Yep.
It's worth looking into now rather than falling behind. And I
Mhm.
thought that was a good point to make.
Yeah,
Yep.
and
Yeah,
I'll
good
add
point.
on to that, right? Steve and I had the privilege of seeing him at a breakout session at a different meeting, and we're both like, yeah, he's our guy, keynote from the standpoint. And how he chatted through, like, use cases for it, right? And whether you're ahead or behind, I think is subjective based on, where you're at with it, right? Because,
True.
it's responsibility and accountability on how it's being used within an organization. What problems are you trying to solve? And more importantly, not taking the first answer that comes out of it, right? So when he was talking through, like, hey, we're feeding information into this thing, but we're doing 150 to 200 different prompts to tune and tweak this thing, and not just running with the first answer out of the gate, right? So when they talk about prompt engineering and fact checking and that kind of stuff, because we can throw together a document very, very quickly, but you still kind of got to go through and make sure it's accurate, right? Or did you feed it enough information? From the programming side,
Right.
I'm a computer science major, so didn't do it as by trade, but when you look at what it's going to do to shake up that market specifically from an app dev aspect, it's very, very interesting, because 3 years ago, the state of North Dakota was saying we were short 100,000 positions based on programming, app dev, and obviously some security aspects in that. And when you look at what folks are doing with it that have little to no coding experience, but you feed it the right information and they're developing applications out of it, it's gonna be interesting to see what they do.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And please feel free to disagree me. And I know I'm going a little bit sideways on the nVision topic, but I do believe it warrants spending a little time on, since it was the keynote and there was multiple sessions, breakout sessions, that had some kind of content around AI. The sense I got from his keynote was not just about the process, but one of the key takeaways I took is that in the upcoming months and years, and for those that are considering AI, that probably the most important piece, if you're going to be doing it, is going to be talking about the data itself and prepping your data, and this was also someone in the panel at the end of the day, getting the data and getting your arms around it and being able to classify it, being able to protect it from and by protect, I mean, classify it, being able to put security on it so that, your frontline worker can't access the CEO's salary is probably the most classic example, that kind of thing. Did anyone else take that away, or was that only me?
Um, I'd agree wholeheartedly with you, David, on that. I think that goes with just about any tool set that we throw into play, whether it's Power BI, Power Automate, a lot of those tools that have access. And, when we work with customers, even from the security aspect, is who has access to what, because we
Mhm.
hear a lot about crypto, ransomware, that kind of stuff. And if that stuff can pervasively get through things, yeah, then you got a serious conversation you're going to need to have.
Yeah, I took away from this that it's not just, and no, completely agree that it's just good practice, right? It's a best practice
Amen.
for any
Yes.
tool. But if you haven't thought of that, like, oh, it's fine, I'm a small business, or I don't have that much data, this is going to bump that up a notch, like a several
Yeah.
notches, because it'll be so easy for the AI to do it without your input, without your knowledge. And you may not even know that it's happening until something comes back that you didn't intend.
Correct. Yeah, because what they mentioned Motorola, right? Before some of the safeguards were built
Yeah.
into the application itself, it's all public domain at that point in time. So if you feed something up, and you don't check the box that keep this within my prompt engineering, my little circle of tuning and training the system, it's open to anybody.
Yep. Not good. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about the breakout sessions. I was only able to attend a couple. I presented on my own. I presented on 2 different sessions. What did you? I'm assuming you all attended different ones to various levels. Are there any that stood out to you? Any ones that you attended that you enjoyed?
Well, I can chime in here, David. So I wasn't, I did not attend any of the sessions. I was kind of out in the main room, but the one I was going to attend, I believe, was the one that Jason was doing around security. And that one was basically a packed house. So obviously everybody's, still security focused and kind of wondering the latest around security, because that's on the back of everybody's mind. So no, my comment was just the amount of people that attended that session was great. And I heard some other good things, about the one that we did regarding flex care. So I just kind of heard from others that attended those, and the security one that Jason did was great. I got some rave reviews on that from people who did attend it.
Awesome.
Yeah, and Mike
Awesome.
Magan had kind of a neat one where it was a choose your own ransomware attack, basically. If you remember those old choose your own adventure books where you could jump ahead to the end or your own ending, he went through scenarios where if this happens, then this, or kind of a branching path toward what a ransomware attack entails. And I thought that was pretty creative, pretty interesting for someone to see if you're not really familiar with how those attacks can happen. So great session there. I like that one. Yeah.
The importance of an incident response plan, so you're not just by guessing, by golly, like you actually have a plan, so that when you're presented with an option, you actually have a pre-thought out plan as to what to do with it. That was I saw the preview of it, if you will. That happened to be going at the same time as one of mine, so I really wanted to be in that one to actually participate and see what was going on. But no, Ben, I know you said you had seen a lot of people, so I'm guessing you weren't able to make a lot.
Yeah,
of
I guess I get to triple stamp what the other individuals got to say. I don't usually get to attend live during those. When we're and I use we loosely because I have very little preparing. The rest of you guys really knock this out of the park. But for the folks that are doing presentations, there's a bunch of effort on the front end, and there's up to a dozen individuals sitting in a meeting, listening, giving feedback and that kind of stuff. So I got to participate on that at the beginning, before the conference. And then, they're all recorded, so they'll get sent out at some point in time. So it's not like it was 10 years ago where once it was done, it was done. There's a vacuum void, some opportunity to pick it up from that standpoint. So yeah, I got to hang out with a bunch of people, and, it was good.
Networking.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm going to make a comment from a presenter standpoint that both of the sessions I presented on were very well attended. And the people that were attending were a good mix of both, just whether you want to call them business owners, business, responsible decision makers, but also technical staff. So it's a good mix of people, but they had really thoughtful questions, and it was a good participatory environment. So people weren't just there to come sit and fall asleep. They actually participated in the discussion that was being had. And the one later in the day, um, it was a two-parter, and myself and Abby from Ingram Micro presented in that one. And that one, because it was a two-parter, people got to, and there was the two of us, we got to have fairly in-depth discussions with some people. And one company would say, well, we're doing this. And another one would say, well, we're doing that too, but we did it this way. And it sparked discussion. So that's one aspect that you don't necessarily get in a static, like one-way webinar or something like that. When it's in person, you get the whole is greater than the sum of its parts.
David, I got a question on that. How was the remote engagement from Q&A kind of stuff? I know, granted, we can't see them, but was there much in the way of feeding questions back to you guys?
I heard that there was a few. In my sessions, I got none. But I heard that in a couple of the other sessions that they did get some questions remotely. And I think the aforementioned security one, that there was a couple of questions. So I think a lot of people, when they're attending nVision remotely, they want to see the material live and have the option to ask, much like what we're doing right now. We're having a live broadcast, and so they have the option to ask a question when they do, which, by the way, since we're talking about it, if you are watching, please hit us up with questions. We're happy to answer, and you have the president of NCI right here. Feel free to, ask him his impression. So anyway, that said, they have the option of asking those questions and getting an impression, or just being able to be heard if necessary. So that's kind of a nice thing. Even if they never do it, the option is there. They like to have that option. So been real popular. Okay, one of the other things that was always popular in the last couple of years was the panel discussion. We've had panel discussions on both with technical professionals from within NCI, but then also from the general, I want to say customer base, but that's not necessarily fair. It's the general professional community, maybe is a better way of putting it. And that's always intriguing because you get different market segments. You get people in, say, financial and retail and what do you call it? Manufacturing. I forget all the different market segments that we had up there. But what was your takeaways? Anybody have a unique takeaway from that?
Yeah, so it's always interesting to hear what other organizations are doing, right? And we had three very distinct lines of business: healthcare, financial, and retail. And Gerald does a great job of moderating that.
Yes.
And it's always usually dialed into, what's relevant today, right? And, today it was AI, and 4 years ago it was work from home. And then, what kind of fits in the middle of that? So, having some, industry technical leaders based on, what we're trying to Q&A, you can almost always take something out of that and bring it back to your organization, or I, wasn't thinking about it that way, or yep, behind here, need to do some work, or, things are looking okay. So, it's always a great way to kind of wrap up the day. So that's what I got, I guess.
Yeah, and David, I would second that. Like Ben said, people can take away certain things from that panel discussion, because they're all companies that are local and people have heard of them. So when they hear of Shields is doing this or that, it's like, well, okay, well, we can take that back to our organization to some level, or if they've already implemented something, they can kind of talk through that. It's just good for all of our customers to just kind of hear what others are doing. I think it's good, and we get we get a different mix every year of companies, whether it be manufacturing, healthcare, maybe some education. It's kind of a good mix from year to year.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
And sorry, go ahead. I was just going to jump in on that too. So I think at the end of the panel, everyone in the room is aware, hey, AI is here. It's coming. It's what everyone is doing. But if we haven't yet, how do we get started? And what's the next step if we haven't done anything? So I just think those are some of the questions that need to be answered for everyone going forward as this AI thing gets more prevalent.
There's kind of a common mind that everyone comes out of and it's not necessarily built, or it's not necessarily a singular message being everyone's saying the same thing. It's more everyone's giving an impression, and then the person listening forms their opinions based on those messages. Obviously, AI being the topic or being one of the major topics, there's going to be different facets, especially in the panel discussion, different facets presented by the different groups. Some are taking a we want to be right there. Others are taking a well, let's wait and see approach. Or we have it on our budget, our calendar, our radar, whatever, but we're not going to do things active with it. So, and yeah, I do think that's fascinating. The other part that I enjoyed was the ability for them to ask questions, the ability for the group as a whole, the attendees to ask questions. So we got a couple out of that, so that was very nice. So you mentioned, Ben, that they're going to be able to view the recordings. I'm waiting for that. Being able to look at not only the keynotes, but also the individual breakout sessions, because then those that we did miss, we can actually go back and look at.
Yep.
So that'll be kind of neat. What else? What other things for somebody who didn't attend? What other things would they have missed?
Well, I would say that. I would say that their ability to network with other organizations that maybe they haven't visited with, maybe same sector, they're in the same, healthcare, manufacturing, whatever it may be. There's a lot of people that come there just to kind of interact with other organizations, not just us at Network Center or the vendors. They know some of the names in the area, so they like to network with other people that are kind of doing the same thing. And they end up kind of having their own sideline discussions on, hey, how are you doing this, or what did you do for this? And I think that's greatly helpful for some people, just to hear other opinions on how people are doing those things. And then of course the giveaways at the end, if they're not in person, they will miss those at the end.
Very sure, very true. And there was a lot of giveaways. I mean, it was a 55-inch Samsung frame TV. Yeah, quite a bit of stuff. So, what about you, Brady? Do you have anything that you thought was unique or that people went miss if they didn't attend?
Other than the prizes at the end, which we already talked about, obviously. I think it's just the interactions. What else can you say? It's a chance to get out of the office one day a week, even if you do a little traveling to come, meet some Network Center people in person, meet some vendors in person, and just a day of learning if it's for a change out of your work week. So I think if you can't make it in person, we'd love to have you in person. And I think that's the benefit of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think I'll add my 2 cents on top of all that, that you mentioned somebody coming from, was it Great Falls, Montana?
Eagle Butte, South Dakota.
Eagle Butte. So, wow, was I way off?
Equally far, as far away.
But equally as far away. But nonetheless, you got somebody coming from that area. You could have somebody coming from the northern part of Minnesota. It's for our area, our market, if you will. That's about as far away as you can get. We do have some that are nationwide groups, but having them come together and share stuff that is unique to their area might put people thinking a different way. We're able to facilitate that, and that's really kind of a nice thing.
Yes,
so that's a different way of having people not only learn trends, new things, talk to the people that they're normally working with at NCI, but also the people and the peers that they're working with. So I definitely, it's the favorite thing to do every year for me.
Amen.
So I really do enjoy it. We're getting close to the end of our time together. Any closing comments? I'm going to start with Brady. Any closing comments or thoughts?
It was a great nVision this year, and I hope it can just keep growing, keep getting better, keep evolving, and we hope to see everyone next year.
Excellent. Matt?
Yeah, I'll second that. It was a great event, and Sarah and her team, they put on and they do a lot of work to make sure that it all goes smooth as possible. So it's kind of a thing to see. If you haven't seen it in person, it's pretty spectacular with all the screens, all the breakout rooms and things like that. So yeah, it's a good event, and I would recommend people try to make plans to attend it next year, because it is well worth coming, and there's a lot of good content and good learning.
Absolutely. And last but certainly not least, Ben.
I think Matt and Brady kind of tipped on, the why nVision. I would say, that's one of the events that we do annually, right? But there's other events that much smaller in scale, but equally beneficial as far as, whether it's a security roadshow or it's something at the Microsoft campus, or if we're working with a specific security software vendor down in St. Cloud. So, keep your eyes open, your ears open as far as other things that we have going on, and show up and say hi and participate.
Absolutely. And I do want to just give a special shout out to Sarah McGinnis, who did a good deal of kind of the leadership, and all of her team. There's many people that participated and helped out with all of this, and too many to mention. Also to all of our vendors and sponsors that helped out with nVision this year. If you got a chance to go up and see them, that's another piece that you couldn't get if you were remote, being able to talk directly to the vendors. So to that end, we've come to the end of our time here again on NCI Live. If you'd like to get some more information, go ahead and you can visit us at our, one last thing, my bad, one last thing. Next year's nVision conference, November 14th, 2024. Mark your calendars. So to continue, if you'd like some more information, you can find that information on our website at netcenter.net. You can email us at info@netcenter.net, or you can visit us at any of our social media channels, or you can also see us on our, you can see us on NCI Live every 2 weeks, and we go live on both LinkedIn and YouTube. If you happen to be looking at us on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and then click the notification bell so you get notifications when we do go live. And with that, I'd like to thank you gentlemen for giving us your input on everything in nVision, and can't wait to do it again next year.
Thank you, David.
Yeah.
Thank you.